Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Crawlspace Theater's first ever sketch workshop online reading. My name is Bannon Backus, and I'm with Crawlspace Theater and Crawlspace Eviction. And it was my pleasure to lead a recent sketch writing workshop through Crawlspace Theater, which led to a great collection of sketches. And yes, tonight, you'll get to enjoy one of those sketches from each of the workshop's 7 writers. So get excited, get comfortable. Do what you can to get cool. Before we get started, a little background on the workshops. We met online once a week for about 3 hours. Most of our time was spent workshopping the 3 sketches that each participant was able to write. But we also spent some time learning the fundamentals of sketch comedy, writing format, and tools for generating ideas. And everyone put a lot of time and effort into the work that you're going to hear tonight. So I'm very excited for all of the participants to be able to share their work with you. It deserves to be shared and enjoyed. So we're excited for this. And so the way that we're going to structure this reading is by having the participants read one sketch from each writer. And after we hear 2 or 3 sketches, we'll take a quick break and bring the writers of those sketches up to answer your questions and respond to your positive feedback. So please, as soon as a sketch has been read, comment with your questions and positive feedback. And as you contribute to the conversation, remember that while some of these sketches are final drafts, if there ever really is such a thing, others might be earlier drafts. So keep that in mind because it might help to further the conversations that we'll be having. Last but not least, a big thank you to Dan Seitzma and Tara Seitzma with Crawlspace Theater for producing this workshop and online reading. Obviously, we couldn't do it without them. And now, without further ado, let's bring up our readers for our first sketch entitled Cabinet Meeting by Sally Thelen. Hello, readers.
Hello.
Hello.
Is everybody nice and cool?
Absolutely.
Relatively speaking.
Super cool.
In the basement.
Oh, good. That's a good place to be. All right. Well, like I said, our first sketch for the evening is Cabinet Meeting by Sally Thelen. And Marius is going to be playing Flower. Beth is going to be playing Flaxseed. Daniel is going to be playing Baking Soda. Andy is going to be playing Baking Powder. And Logan is going to be playing Sugar. So here we go. I'll be reading stage directions throughout the night, and let's get it started with Cabinet Meeting by Sally Thelen. Cabinet Meeting. Setting. Inside of a kitchen cabinet. At Rise, Flower is facing bags and boxes of other baking supplies. Everyone is talking excitedly. Flower is holding a meat tenderizer like a gavel. He pounds it on a cutting board in front of him to bring the meeting to order.
Okay. I need to call this meeting to order. I think you all know why I've brought you here today. This meeting has hit our community especially hard. Not since the great boyfriend breakup of 2018, we've seen our esteemed cabinet members being so swiftly and systematically exterminated.
Flaxseed stands up and faces the crowd.
May I speak, Flower? You know, I am one of the only ones here who was actually in this cabinet during that trying time. But at least during the boyfriend breakup, the kitchen goddess only seemed to be targeting the cookie supplies. You would just start getting to know a new bag of chocolate chips, and the next thing, bam, they're gone. Not even the white chocolate chips were safe in those days. And we all know white chocolate chips are nothing but chunks of white plastic, right? But last week, she grabbed the yeast. Yeast! Yeast has been in here since 2017, back when the kitchen goddess was really into those cooking blogs and told everybody she was going to learn how to bake bread. Well, that lasted exactly for one lumpy loaf of whole wheat. Of course, many of you can't remember all this, as you haven't been here as long as I have. She bought me when she went on that paleo diet in 2016. It only lasted a month. That's why there's so much of my golden flaxseed goodness left. But the way she's been so indiscriminately making her way through this cabinet, I've started to worry about myself. I mean, none of us are safe. None of us.
The other cabinet members start talking excitedly. They all seem alarmed. Flour pounds his meat tenderizer gavel on the cutting board.
Order! Order! Listen, we are all very concerned for our safety right now, but there's no reason to start panicking.
No reason to panic? There's literally 2 teaspoons of me left. 3 at the most. I mean, when I first moved here, you all told me I'd been here way past my expiration date. She never bakes. Once in a while, she might make some banana bread for her coworkers, and to get rid of those bananas she never eats. That's what you told me. I believed you. And now we're 2 months into this pandemic, and I'm almost done. There was the muffins and the pancakes last week, biscuits this week, and it seems like she's making cookies every other day. Who needs that many cookies? If this pace keeps up, I don't think I'll be here much longer.
Baking soda stands up with a swagger, looking condescendingly at baking powder.
Keep your lid on, baking powder. The goddess doesn't need you anyway. When you're gone, I'll be here for all of her leavening needs, if you know what I mean. And I'll do all of that and deodorize her fridge.
Flour pounds his meat tenderizer gavel.
Baking soda, sit down. We understand your concern, baking powder. But we're not the only cabinet being affected by this pandemic. The liquor cabinet has also been experiencing some very tough times during the past 2 months. Wine can barely keep a cork in, and there's been some new arrivals, gin and tonic, who've also been experiencing a record high usage. Even the cleaning supplies are concerned with their longevity. It's been recorded that she's mopped the floor twice in the past week. That is a 400% increase in usage. I remember the days when cat hair roamed these kitchen floors like tumbleweed. And now you could eat off these floors.
Flaxseed rolls her eyes.
I wouldn't put it past her. I mean, we've all seen her grab something she's dropped on the floor and yell 5-second rule before popping it into her mouth. Does she even consult Kitchen Timer when that happens to find out if it was actually only on the floor for 5 seconds? I doubt it. She has no respect for Kitchen Timer. Remember that time she left those brownies in for a good 5 minutes past their recipe recommended time? And then she acted all surprised that they were so crispy around the edges, and then had the nerve to blame oven. Oven! Like that appliance hasn't been through enough already. I'm sure you've all heard of the frittata fiasco of 2019, right? Where she thought it would be a good idea to use a springform pan to make an egg dish that is basically 100% liquid.
Flaxseed rolls her eyes again.
Listen, Flaxseed, we all know that you don't appreciate the kids and goddesses' baking or eating habits. But remember, it's those very same baking and eating habits that have kept you safe all these years. I can't say the same about myself or my predecessors. I'm the second bag of flour that's been in this cabinet in the past 2 months.
Baking soda grumbles.
But yet you're put in charge. Just because there's a king on your packaging. It's not fair. I mean, look at my arm. It's totally buff. And I wouldn't even need to use a meat tenderizer as a gavel because I've already got a hammer on my packaging.
I hear you, baking soda. We've been over this before. I'm in charge because I'm the staple that all baked goods are baked on. Besides, we're not here to talk about who should or should not be in charge. We're here to talk about how we can mediate this problem. How can we curb the devastation that is currently decimating our ranks? Does anybody have any ideas?
I do. All we need is another new year. January rolls around, and she's all, new year, new me. She wreaks havoc on the vegetable crisper, but at least we're safe for a bit. Besides, carrots are dicks. Who cares if they get hit especially hard? They had it coming.
Hey, don't say that about my friend, carrots. You just don't know them. As someone who has spent a lot of time in the fridge.
Flour
Okay, baking soda. That's enough. Baking powder. The New Year's idea is a good one, but it's May. We have a long way off before we can make that a reality. Does anyone else have any ideas?
Actually, I got an idea, and it's a good one.
Yeah, right. Like a good idea ever passed through that bicep of yours.
Flower pounds his meat tenderizer gavel.
Baking powder, that was uncalled for. We do not make fun of anybody's packaging in this cabinet. Go ahead, baking soda.
Well, Flaxseed over there has a whole article on her back label about the benefits of eating grain-free. All she has to do is flash her backside, and suddenly the kitchen goddess is eating chia pudding and flaxseed granola bars, and we are all safe. No more muffins and pancakes and endless cookies. Plus, we wouldn't have to listen to Ms. Know-It-All Flaxseed bragging about how long she's been in here. Come on, sugar. Turn around and show us that label of yours.
Baking soda twirls finger at Flaxseed. Flaxseed rolls her eyes. Sugar wakes up from a nap, sleepily rubbing his eyes.
Did someone call me?
Sugar is alarmed, opens eyes wide.
Oh, good. She's not making cookies again, is she? She literally just made a batch yesterday. A double batch. I thought I was sold for at least another couple of days.
No, sugar, don't worry. There's been no signs of new cookie baking yet today. The goddess hasn't left any butter on the counter to soften, and all the eggs are still in the fridge. We think you're safe for now. We're just trying to brainstorm some ways we can keep our population safe in these times.
We have to figure out something quick. I was just starting to get to know that cute brown sugar, and then suddenly he's a batch of peanut butter cookies. He was only here a week. He didn't even have time to harden. And we all know what happens when you run out of brown sugar. She's coming for me next.
Sugar stops talking mid-sentence.
Did you all hear that?
Everyone stands still and strains to listen. Suddenly, the cabinet door opens and light comes streaming in. A hand reaches in and lifts out baking powder. Baking powder screams as he's being taken away. Everyone looks shocked. Flour waits a beat.
Folks, we've lost another good one. Let's all bow our heads.
But I only have an arm.
Blackout. The end. Let's give a huge round of applause for Sally. Awesome. Great way to start off the evening. And we'll be bringing Sally up here in a little bit for our first round of Q&A. So be sure if you're watching to comment right now with any questions that you might have for Sally about cabinet meeting or some positive feedback. Any engagement is always appreciated, and we're all really excited to share these sketches with you. So next we are going to move on to a sketch by Beth Bradburn entitled Jeffrey. And for that, we're going to be bringing on Sally, Kate, and Logan. They will be reading this sketch. And it looks like the team is assembled. Awesome. All right. So here we go with Jeffrey by Beth Bradburn. Setting: a living room with a sofa, coffee table, side chair, and side table containing coffee service for 3. At rise, Donna and Allison are seated on the sofa and Sue on the side chair in front of Donna on the coffee table. There is an open laptop, and beside it, a small stack of papers.
Thanks for joining us on such short notice, Allison.
Yes, welcome to the Library Book Sale Committee.
No problem. It's great to meet you both.
So we just need to finalize the publicity for the spring sale. I've already put together a poster.
Donna shows them an 8.5 by 11 paper with colorful printing and images.
It looks good to me.
Jeffrey would like this poster.
Oh, who's Jeffrey?
My son, he's 11. Blue's his favorite color.
Allison nods in polite acknowledgement.
Great, I can have copies made. How many do you think we'll need?
Well, where are we going to post them?
Wherever we can around town, I think. Coffee shop bulletin boards, that kind of thing.
Jeffrey would say that we need to find out which coffee shops will let us post there.
Allison is again polite, perhaps slightly amused.
My, he's precocious, isn't he?
Yes, we're very proud.
Allison smiles and nods again.
Have you seen that new place downtown with the super hot barista? We'll be fighting over who gets to take the poster there.
Donna and Allison laugh. Sue says without laughing or smiling,
Jeffrey would think that was funny.
there is no suggestion of wistfulness and no subtext. Sue is naturally stating what Jeffrey's reaction would be. Allison glances at Donna, who shrugs slightly. Sue does not notice this exchange.
So, besides the posters, do we need to send out an email blast? Does anyone know if the list has been updated?
Sue shakes her head.
I don't think so. We had some people sign up at the fall sale, but I don't know what happened to the sign-up sheets.
Jeffrey would suggest that we see if there's a cash box. They're in the cash box.
This time, Allison gives Sue a hard stare, again unnoticed by Sue.
Okay, yeah, maybe we should look in the cash box.
Donna tries to ease the tension.
Oh, how rude of me. Can I offer you both some coffee?
Donna stands up and picks up the coffee pot and a cup.
How do you take it? Cream? Sugar?
Allison relaxes.
Oh, thank you. Yes, just a little cream.
Donna serves coffee for the three of them and brings the cream and sugar over to the coffee table.
The last book sale went so well. I hope we can get the same turnout again.
I bet we can.
Sue helps herself to sugar.
Jeffrey likes sugar.
With open sarcasm, which is lost on Sue.
Well, good for Jeffrey.
Donna tries again to smooth things over.
Maybe we should draft the email now. Then later I can look it over and make sure we got all the details right.
Allison is still a bit on edge, but turning her attention to Donna.
Okay, good idea.
Sure.
Donna is typing.
Dear friends of the public library.
Spring is almost here.
Donna types.
Spring is almost here, and guess what we're excited about?
Oh, that's good.
Jeffrey prefers not to end a sentence with a preposition.
Oh, really? Jeffrey prefers not to? Jeffrey knows all about prepositions? Why isn't Jeffrey on this committee? Why doesn't Jeffrey get his ass down here and write the email himself?
Oh, dear, I know these meetings are very informal, but we try not to swear.
Jeffrey's at school.
During this speech by Allison, Donna and Sue become more and more taken aback.
Jeffrey is at school? Do we know that Jeffrey is really at school? Maybe we should call Jeffrey's school and find out if Jeffrey is really there. Maybe Jeffrey was expelled months ago. Maybe Jeffrey has joined a biker gang. Maybe Jeffrey is cruising around town recruiting homeless youth for a human trafficking ring. Maybe Jeffrey is performing back alley abortions in rural Oklahoma. Maybe Jeffrey is on Jeffrey's way to serve Jeffrey's life sentence in Jeffrey's maximum security prison cell right now.
There is a horrified silence. Donna recovers herself.
Well, now, Allison, I think you owe Sue an apology.
Allison is also recovering.
Yes, you're right. I don't know where that came from. I'm sorry.
Searching for something to say.
That was quite an outburst. Jeffrey would be very offended.
Allison lunges at Sue while Donna desperately reaches over to hold her back.
Jeffrey is taking Taekwondo.
Blackout, the end. Huge round of applause for Beth. Nice job, readers. All right, it's time for our first Q&A. So go ahead and comment with your questions or positive feedback right now for Jeffrey by Beth Bradburn. And we're going to bring up Sally and Beth right now. Dan is working behind the scenes to get any questions that there might be up there. Obviously, you know, I'm huge fans of both your work, so a semi-in-person applause. So good to hear those again. So, Sally, what was the inspiration for your sketch? I know we talked about it during the workshop, but for people watching.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I have made a lot of cookies in the past 2 months, and I was thinking the prompt that we were given was to write a sketch about an object. And I was thinking, I always think about how the pandemic has affected me and my cat and my family, but like, what about the objects in my household? Like, how has it affected them? And of course, I went directly to the baked goods, who have been experiencing, record high decimation levels at this point. So I wrote it from their perspective.
Awesome. And if I remember correctly, you said that maybe there was another choice aside from the baked goods that maybe you wanted to tell the story of during pandemic, or was it always the baked goods?
It was mostly the baked goods. Like, I wanted to tie in the other household goods that are experiencing the same issues, like the gin and tonic and the wine and the cleaning supplies. And then I was thinking of household supplies that are not experiencing these issues, like any hair products, makeup, any of those things, pants. They're fine, but they will be. They'll have to, come up for the next sketch.
Right. I love it. So Beth, same question. For people who are experiencing this for the first time, what was the inspiration for Jeffrey?
Well, this was actually with someone I knew, worked with, Jeffrey's mother. And she really did she would just sort of project everything onto her son, and the line that stuck out for years, my friends and I used to say, Jeffrey would think that was funny whenever someone said something funny. So that was the line I started with.
And that was an actual line that this real person had said.
Well, I don't remember if she said that exactly, but it was the next step up from what she used to say.
Right. And because of your stage directions in there, it's very clear that the mother doesn't seem to be saying these things, combatively or out of spite in any way. Was that the same way it was in real life? No, she wasn't combative in real life. It seemed a little bit more that she was kind of living vicariously through her son. Mm-hmm. But I decided to make Sue just kind of clueless about how it sounds. Yeah, I think it works great to have that dynamic there. Sally, so back to your sketch. I remember when we were talking about this, just being selfish, I know personally one of the things that I really enjoyed is how human you made these inanimate objects. Can you talk a little bit about whether or not that was easy or difficult writing for a bag of flour?
It was, maybe because I live alone and they are basically my roommates now. I was surprised that this was the easiest sketch for me to write. I think because I was just having so much fun. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about I incorporated the packaging a lot into the flour is King Arthur flour, and that makes him in charge. And then it's obviously Arm & Hammer baking soda. So kind of using their packaging to inform their personalities. And then, of course, flaxseed is going to be really annoying, right? So it was really fun to come up with those characters and not feel like I had to base it on any actual humans. Right. So I'm scrolling through the comments here. Comment from Daniel Projko seems to be a line that he likes. Carrots are assholes. Do you actually believe that, Sally? No, I'm actually a huge fan of carrots. I have baby carrots and normal sized carrots. If I was going to say a particular vegetable was an asshole, it would be an eggplant, because eggplants go bad so quickly. What the fuck? Why did you do that? I know I'm probably not supposed to swear, but I was in the heat of the moment about eggplants. Oh yeah. They're big teases. Big teases. Mary Henderson, another one addressed to you, Sally. We'll go ahead and focus on questions for Sally right now. Sally, I'm laughing too hard to think of a question. So we'll definitely take that. Anita Britt has another line that she seems to like from your play, Sally. She says, flash your backside. Flash those gluten-free options. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. What else do we got?
question from Paul Ferrier. Sally, what are you thinking about for costumes? And it's interesting that Paul brings that up because we, in the workshop, we spoke about the great visual component to this sketch.
I mean, I did actually have the idea that they would be wearing the packaging because the packaging, especially for the flour and the baking soda, is really important for their character. Mm-hmm. So like, I kind of imagine them wearing like these, like kind of almost like elementary school Halloween costumes, like an actual box or a bag with like the symbol of King Arthur flour or Arm and Hammer. So like it would, I mean, I think that would just kind of add to that kind of fun, you know, cheesiness of it.
Right. And it'd be so fun to, you know, work with a director and just kind of brainstorm just the costumes.
Yeah.
And just speaking of those visuals again, one of my possibly favorite visual moments is when that hand comes into the cabinet and pulls out that fork.
I haven't figured out how that would work, like a crane or maybe he would be on, you know, like wires and just be lifted out. I don't know.
Right. I love it. Michael Gerard, another positive feedback for you, Sally. The kitchen cabinet was a clever setting. Totally agree. All right. Let's turn to questions, comments for Beth. Just scrolling down here, seeing what we got. Bear with me 1 second. Anita Britt says Jeffrey gets around. and that does sort of you know, echo my thoughts on the mother's response when the other character says that he's precocious, and the mother's response is something like, "Oh, thank you, we think so." You know, totally a positive. How do you see Jeffrey actually, Beth? What kind of a child is Jeffrey?
You know, nobody really knows anything about Jeffrey because for all we know, there is no Jeffrey. It's just Sue is just to imagine that she has this child. Now, I think Sue really does have a son named Jeffrey, but the problem is she's so out of touch with herself in the moment that she just everything gets projected onto Jeffrey.
Right. Just kind of a convenient, scapegoat or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Melanie Smith Souza says that she likes Allison's outburst, and I totally agree. Great way to ramp up toward that. Was that an easy outburst to write, Beth, or did that take a while?
No, it just kind of came out. I mean, I don't really know where it came from. It just kind of flowed out when I decided to write it.
Yeah. It can be so much fun to just let characters loose. Josh McDaniel says, "Oh, I'm so happy the Jeffrey character came from a real place." For better or worse. For better or worse, it did. Michael Gerard says, "Beth, I laughed out loud during Sally's character's rant again." Cool. And then Mary Henderson adds, "I like how the character said, is he really at school?" That whole escalation inside of, you know, a character's escalated speech. Awesome. And then Paul has another comment. He says, "We need a sequel sketch where Jeffrey talks with his friends about mom."
I've never thought about Jeffrey's personal life, but I could see doing that. Yeah.
Right. You have to decide, is it going to be one of those things where do we want to see Jeffrey or do we just want to leave it to the imagination? The pressure would be high. Awesome. Well, huge round of applause again for both of you, Sally and Beth. We're going to move on with some great sketches, but thank you so much for sharing those with everyone. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you. All right. So back to some more reading. And next up, we're going to need readers Kate, Daniel, Andy, and Sally to read a sketch entitled Single Malt by Marius Youth. And looks like everybody is here. Awesome. So without further ado, we will get to it. Single malt. Setting, a shady deck at sunset. At rise, Claymore, a middle-aged software programmer, sits in a deck chair, his feet propped up, looking pensively at the glass of whiskey in his hand. A cat is licking from a small saucer next to the chair. He is startled by the sudden appearance of Trooper Mackenzie, a uniformed state trooper in her early 40s, in the garden at the bottom of the stairs to the deck.
Claymore Peroni?
Trooper Mackenzie starts walking up the stairs. Claymore clumsily takes his feet from the ottoman and stands up. The cat scoots down the stairs into the shrubbery of the backyard.
I hope you don't mind me letting myself in, but nobody answered the front door. Mind if I sit?
Trooper Mackenzie does not wait to be invited and proceeds to sit down after removing her nightstick and putting it across her lap. Claymore sits too, in a nervous crouch at the edge of his chair.
I am Anna Mackenzie. You can call me Trooper Mackenzie, State Police, Animal Welfare Concerns Division. There has been a complaint.
Trooper Mackenzie hands Claymore a business card from her right-hand uniform shirt pocket and takes out a notebook and stencil from the left-hand shirt pocket. She opens the notebook and waits for Claymore to finish studying the business card.
Officer McClelland, what is this?
Trooper Mackenzie interrupts Claymore rather assertively.
Please, Mr. Peroni, Trooper Mackenzie. Only city police and mall cops are called officer. I am a state trooper. We are called trooper.
Trooper Mackenzie pauses briefly and glances at her notebook.
Let's cut to the chase. There has been a complaint that one of your cats of a non-distinct breed has been trying to have relations with one of your neighbors, Ms. Brody's purebred Persian female cats. Not only that, but your cat appeared to have been inebriated. Apparently your cat was walking unsteadily and smelled of liquor. Cheap scotch, if I can quote her.
Why, the sly so-and-so, always there spying on me from her porch. Why can't she mind her own bloody business?
Claymore stretches his neck to look over the hedge to his neighbor's house. Trooper Mackenzie turns her head to look into the same direction. Claymore uses the distraction to rather unsuccessfully try to hide the small saucer from Trooper Mackenzie's view by moving it under his chair. Trooper Mackenzie catches him in the act.
Mr. Peroni, what is that you are trying to hide there?
Trooper Mackenzie walks over to Claymore's chair, picks up the saucer, and takes a good sniff. She looks Claymore in the eye and takes his glass from his hand. She lets her nose linger over the tumbler and gives it back to Claymore.
In the saucer, Old Crow, Kentucky Straight, $9 a bottle. We'll take rust off a 50-year-old plow left in a disused cornfield. And what is in your glass? Smoky, but not a tire fire. Well matured, likely a single malt. Let me guess. Lafroig?
Claymore looks at her, looks over the hedge, looks at the cat, now milling around his ankles, looks at the deck. He points at the cat, a lumbering gray creature of indistinct origin, avoiding its gaze. He gets up.
This is Wilbury. He is around 8, I think. He would follow me out to the deck when I come out and have a small bit, maybe 2 laps of whiskey from my glass, and then go on his way. So for Christmas, I got him his own bottle. Never more than about 4 drops. I use a glass stropper. What I don't understand is, he is supposed to be fixed, neutered. Could his intentions have been misconstrued? Friendly for frisky? And since when is it any business of the state police to investigate a man's pets? Don't you have real crimes to pursue? Highways to patrol? Interstate commerce to uphold? What is this Animal Welfare Concerns Division anyway?
Trooper Mackenzie is unaffected by Claymore's pleas.
Mr. Peroni, do you have any other animals? Would you like to tell us something about them? Think carefully before you answer, as you may not want to perjure yourself later in court.
There is another figure at the foot of the stairs, Sergeant Roper. He has a cat under each arm, a parrot on his shoulder, and a small goat on a leash. Claymore whimpers. Sergeant Roper climbs the stairs with the goat eagerly leading the way.
I'm Sergeant Roper, State Police. I found these guys on the premises. It may behoove you now to come clean, as Trooper Mackenzie said.
You have no right. all based on some flimsy allegation by a nosy divorcee. I did not call the state police when she and her ex had their loud arguments on the street at whatever time in the morning, or when she shot those fireworks at her own just divorced party.
Claymore sighs in defeat. He takes the animals one by one. He adds instructions as if he is going away for a long time.
You want to know about these animals? I will tell you about these animals. From under your left arm, Sergeant Brody, King Tut, a cat favored by ancient Egyptian royalty. Got him for a girlfriend who was allergic. No hair, see? Smooth as a peach. Well, she left. King stayed. White wine, dry, not oaky. Lately prefers a fruity Sauvignon Blanc, barefoot Contessa with a screw top. Use a third of a cup at 4 p.m. From under your right arm, Clatch, with a K. God knows the breed, and he ain't telling. NyQuil. He once swept the bottle from the counter that spilled on the floor, and he has never looked back since. Quarter-size drop in his favorite bowl at nighttime. And this little guy is Napoleon. 45 pounds of pure determination. Got him as a yoga goat for another girlfriend. He once stole a brownie from a batch she baked. Let's just say keeping him off the grass is futile. A 1x1 square inch as a treat after lunch. I started using her recipe, but Napoleon prefers a darker chocolate, so I substitute. Before you ask, yes, she too left. For a Tai Chi instructor from Encino, Pasquale is an African gray, 200-word vocabulary, plus Hamlet's soliloquy. Cognac. Don't try to fool him with brandy. 1/4 teaspoonful at bedtime. No connection to a girlfriend. I inherited him from Uncle Knox.
Sergeant Roper and Trooper Mackenzie become aware of nosy neighbor Jean Brody at the foot of the stairs. Sergeant Roper and Trooper Mackenzie part so that Claymore can see her. Jean Brody is crying softly, carrying a tray of cookies.
Oh, Claymore, I couldn't help hearing. I didn't mean to cause any trouble. I was too quick to judge. Please forgive me. It's oatmeal raisin and hash. On an empty stomach, as much HTC as a joint. I had it tested. I know you hate smoking.
Jean Brody presents the tray. Claymore looks at her as if in a trance. Pascal the parrot starts reciting Shakespeare.
Good grief, I need to stretch.
Claymore returns the animals to Sergeant Brody, takes a cookie from the tray, turns his back to the three of them, and assumes the downward-facing dog position. Napoleon the goat jumps onto Claymore's back with a delicate jump. Claymore reaches back to Napoleon, and he gently takes a quarter of the cookie from Claymore's hand. Blackout. The end. Huge round of applause for Marius. We will be bringing Marius up in a little bit for another Q&A. So those of you watching, be sure to comment right now with any questions or positive feedback that you have for Single Malt by Marius Just. We really appreciate the engagement and helping with that conversation. Means a lot to us. So thank you again. And while you're doing that, we are going to ask Dan to bring up Kate, Andy, Sally, Marius, and Beth for a sketch by Daniel Smith entitled The Banjo. And it looks like we have everyone. So we will begin reading The Banjo by Daniel Smith. Setting: a dock with a bait shop. At rise, Buddy is behind the counter of the bait shop. A Coast Guard captain walks in from a dock carrying a banjo.
Worst case of shark attack I've ever seen. Shit. Poor dude went out in a sailboat to go snorkeling on the reef and nothing left but a right leg. I have no idea what got into his head to snorkel in that shark-infested spot. Only thing left on the boat was this banjo.
Weird.
Hey, you used to play, didn't you?
If you can call it that. I really sucked.
Well, do you want it? Ain't doing him no good no more. Otherwise, I'll toss it in the fish guts bin.
Seems kind of morbid, don't it? Well, okay. Better than throwing it away, I guess. Sure, I'll see what I can do with it.
The Coast Guard captain hands the banjo to Buddy.
Here you go, buddy. I got paperwork.
Okay, cool.
The Coast Guard captain exits.
Let's see if I can remember how to tune this thing.
Buddy turns the pegs on the banjo a bit, plays a couple of sour notes.
Yep, I still suck.
Suddenly, as he touches the banjo again, wonderful, elaborate picking music comes out of the banjo. Buddy stops in amazement.
What the heck?
Buddy strums the banjo again, and again, incredibly beautiful music comes out.
Jesus! Holy shit! Goodbye, Buddy's Bait Shack. Hello, America's Got Talent.
Blackout, end of scene. Setting, dressing room at Madison Square Garden. At rise, Buddy is dressed in a rhinestone-studded cowboy outfit. His banjo is next to him on a stand. Buddy is admiring himself in the mirror.
Dude, you're looking good there. Don't even stink like dead fish. Ooh, baby, you are living large. Big mansion, 6-car garage full of fancy sports cars and fast women. Yes, indeed. Now I got Madison Square Garden sold out.
Buddy, I think you mean I got Madison Square Garden sold out.
Well, I guess I don't got all the... Wait a minute. Did this banjo just talk to me? Am I losing it?
Yes, buddy, I can talk, and I got something to say.
Jesus, I am losing it.
Buddy, pull yourself together. You got a big show coming up in 5 minutes, the biggest moment of your life.
Yeah, that's right. It's just nerves.
I don't know what the fuck you are nervous about. I do all the work.
Oh, Jesus, I'm talking to a smart-ass banjo.
Anyway, we ain't got much time. Just calm down. We got this. Listen, I need you to do me a favor, though.
What the hell? What kind of favor?
Well, I've never gone skydiving. I always wanted to go skydiving.
What?
Did I stutter? I want you to take me skydiving.
No, I'm sure we're both out of our minds. Skydiving? I'm deathly afraid of heights. No way.
Listen to me, buddy. Buddy, look, try strumming my strings.
Buddy slowly approaches banjo and strums the strings. Horrible sounds come out.
You suck, buddy.
Wait, what's going on? What happened? Oh, shit. Thousands of fans out there? The music execs? Oh, shit. They'll tear me apart limb from limb.
So, skydiving?
What? Skydiving? Yeah, of course, whatever. Just do your musical magic. Please, I'm begging you.
Hey, buddy, calm down. No worries. We got this. We are friends, right? Madison Square Garden awaits. Just promise to take me skydiving.
You got it. Sure. Whatever.
Buddy strums the banjo strings and beautiful music comes out.
Oh, thank God.
We hear the sounds of a roaring crowd as Buddy and banjo go on stage. Blackout, end of scene. Setting, inside the fuselage of an airplane flying high above the clouds. Noise of the engines and wind, turbulence. At rise, Buddy is standing near the open door of the plane, looking green, grasping at the handhold and the banjo. The jump instructor is standing next to him. Buddy is wearing a parachute.
Oh, my Lord. Oh, Jesus. What the hell am I doing?
Sir, are you okay? Are you sure you want to go through with this jump? Why are you bringing your banjo? Are you going to practice on the way down?
It's a long story. No, I'm doing it. I got to. I got to. Okay. I'm ready.
Okay, just one last minute check.
The jump instructor checks on the parachute on Buddy's back.
Holy shit!
What? What?
This is a defective chute. Somehow it got mixed in with our good ones. Sir, you ain't jumping today. Holy shit, that was too close for comfort. You would have just been an ugly splat on the cornfield down there.
Buddy looks at Banjo menacingly.
Why, you no good.
I just couldn't help myself.
Buddy grabs the banjo and goes to the open hatch.
Fuck you.
Buddy throws Banjo out the open door of the airplane. End of scene. Blackout. Setting. Inside a rickety farmhouse, there is a rocking chair near a fireplace with a fire. At rise, Pa is rocking in a rocking chair.
Where's that boy gone to now?
Boy bursts into the room carrying something behind his back.
Pa, looky what I done found out in the cornfield.
I do declare, boy, you better have your chores done or no supper for you.
Boy
Pa,
brings
look
out
at this.
Banjo from behind his back.
Pa, look at this.
Huh? Now, my stars, that looks like a banjo.
A banjo? Hey, Pa, I'm going to learn to play this here banjo, and you'll see. I'm going to leave this here farm and make it big on America's Got Talent.
Pa gets up and takes Banjo.
No, you ain't, boy. Didn't you hear the pastor say that music was the work of the devil? And I believe it too. The first thing the devil puts in your head, that you're gonna leave me and Ma and have us starve to death out here. No, sir, that thing is the devil. And I'm throwing it into this here fire right now.
Pa, no!
The door bursts open and Buddy charges in and grabs the banjo.
Hey, listen here, mister. Give me that thing and get out of my house.
Buddy rushes out the door with the banjo, pursued by Boy and Pa. End of scene. Blackout. Setting. Inside a speeding red sports car. At rise, Buddy is driving. Banjo is in the front seat.
That was close. That farmer's shotgun would have hit us if that cherry red Lamborghini couldn't go 185.
I was seconds away from crispy critters. Buddy, you saved my life. I don't know what to say.
Just say thank you.
Thank you. So how did you find me? Never mind. More importantly, why did you save me? I mean, after, you know.
You mean, despite the fact that you're a murderous bastard, that little factoid, you're a murderous bastard, but you're still my friend. I mean, I've experienced so much that I could only dream about before I met you. If it wasn't for you, I'd still be up to my armpits and fish guts. And besides, I did some research. That guy who had an unfortunate meeting with the shark, yeah, he had it coming. He was an evil son of a bitch. Thousands of families got kicked out of their homes because of that hedge fund prick. And me, well, I squandered all that fame and fortune on material things. Just for me. Well, after my life flashed before my eyes, I see now that I will do things differently. I'm selling my mansion and the 6 sports cars. I'm going on tour again, but proceeds go strictly to charity.
We're going on tour again. I would like you to do me a favor, though.
Watch it, man. I could turn around real quick and go up Mr. Farmer and his fireplace.
No, it's not like that. I just have a request for the benefit charity that we sponsor. Shark Savers, a nonprofit to save habitat and save shark species from extinction.
What? I should have known. Okay, what the hell? I like it.
Buddy, I know I have a problem. I can't help myself. It just seems like I'm taken over by my urges to, you know.
I happen to know a great psychiatrist who handles all the big names in show business. He's done wonders. I'm sure he'll help you.
Buddy, thanks so much. You are a friend. And I do have one more small favor.
Sure.
Well, I've always wanted to go to Pamplona and go running with the bulls.
Banjo?
Yeah?
Fuck you.
Blackout. The end. Huge round of applause for Daniel. Awesome. And we will be bringing Daniel back here in just a few minutes. So be sure to comment right now with any questions that you might have about the banjo or any positive feedback. And like I said, we'll be bringing Daniel up during the next Q&A. But before that, we have one more sketch to read. And for this one, we will need Sally and Beth. And Sally and Beth will be reading a sketch by Kate Britt entitled Coffee Chat. And it looks like our readers are here. So here we go with Coffee Chat by Kate Britt. Setting: a modern cafe with a handful of small tables. The counter with the register and coffee equipment is upstage left. At Rise, Rosie and Meredith are sitting at a table center stage, sipping coffee out of paper cups. Behind them, we can see the barista wiping down the counter.
Thanks again for meeting me for coffee. After everything that's happened this year with Ryan and the kids, it feels so good to just talk it through.
You can't keep it bottled up inside. It's unhealthy.
Meredith takes a last swig of her coffee, shakes the empty cup, and sets it down.
Exactly. You're so smart. Geez, I feel like I just spent the last hour blathering on about myself. What's going on with you?
Oh, there's no need to go into all that.
You sure?
She reaches to pick up Meredith's cup and stacks it with her own empty cup.
No, I've got to get to another appointment anyway.
Well, all right, I'll head out.
Rosie picks up the cups and rises from the table. The barista is no longer wiping down counters. He leans on the counter while looking down, scrolling through his phone.
Will you be paying cash or check?
Rosie halts.
What?
Cash or check. Or Venmo. I've got that set up now.
What are you talking about? I already paid for our coffee.
No, my fee for therapy services. Normally, my assistant handles the billing, but I figured since we're old friends and you're here, no need for a middleman. Make checks payable to Meredith Parton, PLLC.
Rosie sits down. The barista glances up, noticing the tense voices.
Are you serious? You're charging me? You're not my therapist.
Am I a licensed therapist?
Yes, but...
Did you spend an hour on a Tuesday morning telling me about your inner emotional life?
Well, yeah, but...
Do you not value my counsel?
Of course I do.
Then what's the fuss?
The fuss? We've been best friends since the 7th grade. You were the maid of honor at my wedding.
Meredith pulls out a notebook and begins writing. The barista is looking at them and typing quickly.
The godmother to my children. What are you writing about?
Therapy notes. They help me keep track of your process and the people you tell me about.
Rosie stands up and grabs the notebook.
Let me see those. This says Ryan equals husband. Why would you need to write that down? Ryan's your brother.
I listen to a lot of patients day to day with a lot of players. I can't retain them all in my head.
This says you think we are headed for a divorce?
Drops the notebook on the table.
You never told me that.
Meredith pulls the notebook to herself. The barista surreptitiously takes a picture of the two and continues typing on his phone.
Well, that's not for me to say. You need to reach your own conclusions without my influence.
Meredith, you're my oldest friend. You mean the world to me. I always want your honest opinion.
Barista pockets his phone as Nathan enters upstage left and walks to the counter. He silently places an order with the barista, who begins making his coffee. Nathan avoids looking at Meredith and Rosie.
Why do you think you need to hear my opinion?
Quit analyzing me. I just need you to be my friend.
I am your friend, Rosie. Where do you think all of this hostility is coming from?
Rosie shakes her head and sits down, folds hands over her stomach, reclines and looks at the ceiling.
I guess I'm just so stressed lately. I can't think straight. You know, Janie starts kindergarten next month.
Interesting. Do you think your anxiety over your daughter starting school is rooted in the way you were bullied when you were little?
Well, maybe, but...
Rosie bolts upright.
Wait a second. You are the one who bullied me. You told the entire 4th grade I couldn't read.
And you were strong enough to move past that. Don't you think Janie will be all right too?
Rosie relaxes again.
Wow, I hadn't thought of it like that.
Meredith starts writing in her notebook.
I guess, hey, I can't believe you. Fine.
Behind them, barista puts 2 paper cups of coffee on the counter in front of Nathan. Rosie mumbles the following while rifling through her purse.
If I'm just a patient, then fine, I'm a patient. I'll pay your measly fee, you 2-bit second-rate quack of a maid of honor. What do I care? Take the money.
Throws dollar bills on the table. Meredith gathers up the bills. Behind them, Nathan pays for the coffees.
I think you've made a real breakthrough today.
Rosie squeezes eyes shut and shakes her head in defeat. She sighs.
I hate you. Are you still bringing the balloons for Janie's birthday Saturday?
Yes, of course. I can tell you're experiencing some strong feeling toward me. We should explore where they're coming from. Shall we meet back here at the same time next Tuesday?
Yes. Love you. Goodbye.
Picks up the empty cups, storms off, slams cups into the trash cans as she walks out of the cafe. Nathan walks from the counter with 2 coffees and sits down in Rosie's chair. He sets 1 coffee in front of Meredith. Meredith flips to an earlier page in her notebook and smooths down the pages. She takes a sip of her new coffee.
It's good to see you, Nathan. Shall we pick up where we left off last week?
Blackout, the end. Huge round of applause for Kate. Awesome. So go ahead right now, if you're watching, with comments, questions for Coffee Chat by Kate Britt, positive feedback so that we can have a good discussion. And speaking of a discussion, it's time for our next Q&A. So we are going to bring back Marius Juiced, Daniel Smith, and Kate Britt. And while they are coming up, I'm going to pull up some questions here. First off, though, huge round of applause. Nicely done. Thank you so much for sharing those. Marius, let's go ahead and start with you. What was your inspiration for single malt?
Yeah, a colleague at work showed a picture of him sitting on his deck with his cat, and he made the comment that the cat always takes a sip of his whiskey when he sits on the cat. If that colleague is listening, he may probably recognize himself. It's not a very subtle reference. So yeah, it's based on a colleague.
Makes sense. A comment here from Anita Britt about your sketch, Marius. Looks like a favorite line: smoky, but not a tire fire. I love it, Anita says.
Yeah, I wanted to bring in a line, perhaps, it's amazing what they teach at the police academy nowadays. It looks like there's a whole thing on social mores and liquor, especially.
Right. So. She's so skilled in identifying.
She was amazing. Yes.
Anita Britt also has another comment. She says the goat's moderation at the end was a great touch. And we actually talked about that during the workshop. Like, we're not sure exactly how you would pull it off. It's not for us to say, but I mean, what a great image to end on, that yoga pose and the goat.
It's another colleague. He actually has goats on his farm, and he has live sessions where you can actually have a virtual petting zoo, visiting with his farms. Around Christmas, his farms eat, his goats eat Christmas trees, and so after Christmas, he invites everybody to please send along his Christmas trees so his goats can have a treat. So.
Oh wow! So we're definitely getting a lot of life imitating art tonight. Paul LaFerriere also says, single malt, love that big speech and the whole animals and booze premise. Have you ever known an animal, Marius, who maybe likes the occasional sip of beer or anything like that?
The parrot whose name was in real life was there was a Pasquale, but the Umpy was the one who had a little brandy at night with my uncle.
Okay. All right. Let's bring in the banjo next. Daniel's sketch. Mary Henderson asks you, Daniel, do you play the banjo?
I do have a banjo, and I attempt to play it. Yes.
Okay. How long have you been attempting to play it?
About 6 or 7 years, maybe. It's my
Okay.
nemesis. My nemesis.
So if it's your nemesis, why do you keep going back to it? Not unlike Buddy, who keeps going back to banjo.
Just draws me in. I don't know why.
Yeah. Are you a big fan of Steve Martin and his banjo playing?
No, it's just I wanted to play something different than all my friends who play guitars.
Makes sense. Stand out from the crowd.
Yeah.
Anita Britt says that it's the Black Dahlia of banjos. I think is pretty fair, right, Daniel?
Yeah, I started writing it because we had to come up with an inanimate object that had something very strange about it, and so actually what came up was it seemed like an episode from Twilight Zone was sort of the model for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Imagine, if you will, a banjo that could talk. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, because they had the frightening doll, in that episode. So yeah, frightening banjo. Janice Ferguson said, maybe you need to take your banjo next time you jump.
I am never going to go skydiving. Never.
I'm not either. A little bit too frightening. I actually got my girlfriend a certificate to go skydiving.
Oh.
And she's gonna do it this summer. So
It doesn't sound like you got yourself a ticket on that plane.
Yeah, Bannon.
Sending her off into space.
very true, Kate. Very
Make
true.
sure they check the equipment very well.
Let's see here. All right. Just scrolling through the comments here. Kate, what was your inspiration for your sketch for people who are hearing it for the first time?
Mostly the awkwardness of at the end of a therapy session, like writing out a check, and then also like just imagining a set of friends where that awkwardness is inserted. I also have friends who are therapists, and the fact that when I unload on them, I feel like I'm imposing on their professional responsibilities and whatnot.
Right. That is a weird real life dynamic, definitely.
Mhm.
Yeah. Emily Knoll seems to have a favorite line. She says, Ryan's your brother.
Yeah, I liked that, putting together the two worlds of the therapist like knowing everybody that her friend is talking about, her patient is talking about, but still converting it into as if she were a stranger.
Right.
And just never breaking the fact that it's weird for her. She's just like, nope,
Yeah.
I have to keep people straight. There's a lot of Ryans in the world. How am I supposed to remember?
It does probably make for maybe more effective therapy. Maybe your therapist should be your best friend. Get a little bit more inside information. Sarah Budziak has another favorite line, quack of a maid of honor, which is a good line.
Yeah, I liked that little mumble because that also like combines the doctor part with the personal part.
Right.
Yeah.
Josh McDaniel says, I like the constant worsening heel turns of the friend therapist. And there is kind of that nice escalation, almost kind of leading up to that quack of a maid of honor.
Yeah.
And then Josh McDaniel brings up a line that I really liked. You told the whole fourth grade I couldn't read. And I love that the therapist was the bully.
Yeah. almost like she was setting it up to bring her friend through a hard time. That was not my intention. But like, they've been best friends since the 7th grade, and in the 4th grade, she was mean to her. And that's what 4th graders do, is they spread rumors about each other.
So as you were writing that, I mean, did you just see that as kind of like another opportunity to escalate, or did you kind of have that idea beforehand?
I think it was just escalating in the moment. Like I thought about, well, what is something in Rosie's life that is making her stressed that Meredith would know about, talking about her kids. Okay. And then what would a therapist do? Somehow dig into their past, and then but it turns out that her past, the therapist is already there. Like, it's just that she has kind of a special knowledge of it and is using it against her in a therapeutic way.
Right. Yeah, there's a pretty thin line there, and I'm sure it's crossed a couple of times.
Yeah.
Sarah Budziak adds the line, and you made it through that.
That's right.
Like, made it through the bullying. See, it's not so bad. And then Mary Henderson maybe has a great new invention, a new thing, coffee shop therapy.
If you're not afraid of crying in public.
There's so many barriers that come from that, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, all three of you, for all your hard work, creativity, and sharing it with everyone. Another round of applause. Really appreciate it. And we're going to turn you back into readers as we move on to our final block of reading with En Cuba by Andy Gonzalez. And for this, we're going to need Marius, Daniel, and Kate reading. All right. It looks like we're all here. So we'll get started right away. This is En Cuba by Andy Gonzalez. Setting: a walk-up window to a Cuban restaurant in Miami, also known as a ventanita. At rise, Pepe, an elderly Cuban man, approaches the ventanita. He places his cane against the wall. A waitress stands behind the counter ready to take his order. He only speaks Spanish. In Spanish, he says,
one cafe cubano, please, without sugar and the Splenda.
Jose, another elderly Cuban man with a walker, walks up to the ventanita and takes the spot next to Pepe. He also only speaks Spanish.
2 café cubano with sugar.
Pepe turns and eyes Jose as the waitress brings his espresso and Splenda.
Give me 2 café cubano with sugar.
Pepe takes a shot of his sugarless espresso and puts down the cup. Jose eyes him while quietly sipping his coffees, one in each hand.
Give me a meat empanada.
Give me a meat and spinach empanada.
The waitress turns to grab the pastries. The two men sip their espressos, both hands full. The waitress returns and hands them each a basket. Jose takes a bite of the empanada. He still has 2 espresso cups.
In Cuba, I ate one of these every single day with an espresso since I was a boy.
In Cuba, I drank coffee since the day I was born. I came out, the doctors were already passing it around, so they gave it to me. I've had it every day since.
In Cuba, the first thing I learned, even before I knew how to walk, was to make the perfect cup of café cubano.
In Cuba, I had to crawl all the way to the camps outside of La Habana to pick the perfect coffee beans from the tree, and then bring them back to my abuela, waiting for me outside. If they weren't good enough for her, she'd give me a smack and make me go back all over again every day.
In Cuba, I would grind the coffee beans with my own hands. I didn't have toys. I had beans that needed crushing before my dad got home for lunch, and God forbid his coffee wasn't ready in time.
In Cuba, after picking the coffee beans and bringing them home, my abuela would stand over me and yell every single step of making that damn cup. I knew what I was doing, but carajo.
Pepe gets on his tiptoes, hunches over, imitating his grandmother.
Every day it was, "Hey, Niño, why aren't you doing this? Didn't you listen to the last time I told you what you're supposed to wait?" And every day it was never good enough for her. But it was the best coffee in all of La Habana.
In Cuba, after I made the coffee, and it was the best in Matanzas, which means it was better than any cup of coffee in La Habana. I'd have to take the beans right out of the cafeteria while it was still hot, hold it in my hand, take it outside in my mother's garden, because they said the hotter it is, the fresher the flowers grow. My mother had the most beautiful flowers in the entire city.
In Cuba, not only did we have the brightest flowers anyone in La Habana or all of Cuba had ever seen, I would have had to go out there every single day and recite poems of the great patriot Jose Marti to them every single day. And that's why they were so beautiful. Those flowers loved Cuba.
Jose laughs.
In Cuba, every year for the Virgin's feast day, we would drive from Matanzas all the way down to Santiago de Cuba. It would take us days, and we would go to the cathedral just so I can recite the entirety of Marti's book, La Edad de Oro, to see the Virgin.
In Cuba, I would take some of the leftover coffee beans, wipe it on my face to make a mustache, put on an old suit, and run around La Habana yelling, "I'm Jose Marti! I'm Jose Marti!" because I wanted to be just like him.
In Cuba, when we returned from the camps to see the Virgin, I would dress like the Rough Riders, praying I could fight like them.
In Cuba, every Sunday, I would join my abuela, Una Santa, and get down on our knees to crawl to Mass every Sunday, praying to the Virgin.
In Cuba, I would have to walk all across Matanzas without shoes to the Jesuit school on the other side of town.
In Cuba, I would pick up Sofia de la Caridad every morning and walk her to all the Lourdes school before walking back to the Marist school.
In Cuba, I didn't have time to hang out with all the girls with my head in the clouds. No, I spent my days playing baseball, knowing Teresita Peña was looking at me, but I ignored her because I wanted to show her I could be a Yankee.
In Cuba, I was rolling with the women every night in the clubs. My father made me learn the trumpet because he knew it was the best way to get women, and he wasn't wrong. I had almost every woman in La Habana, and even some from Matanzas.
In Cuba, I was the most wanted man in all of Matanzas. The women all wanted me, but I didn't play around because I knew if I did, I'd never join the Yankees and get one to stick around.
In Cuba, I decided the women and the trumpet weren't enough. So in the middle of a set, with Margarita Elena sitting right there in front, waiting for me, I just got up, walked away, and joined the seminary in the middle of the night.
In Cuba, I was a doctor. I got a call from the New York Yankees begging me to move up to the United States to play with Babe Ruth. But I said, no, this is where I'm needed.
In Cuba, I was the youngest priest to go to a presidential inauguration. I sat there in the front row as Carlos Briosa Caras became president.
In Cuba, I became the doctor of every important person in Matanzas. I even got a few calls from people in La Habana who didn't trust their doctors or trust their priests with prayers.
In Cuba, as soon as the revolution came, I made sure to clear out every child from the orphanage to get them to safety. I sent every child without a mother or father to freedom in Spain before the regime even took over.
In Cuba, I served as frontline medic for every person shot by those bastard communists. There was a bounty on my head for doing that.
In Cuba, I was scheduled to end up against the wall. But the night before, I broke out of jail. I waited in the camps outside of La Habana for days before I could make a boat of tires with my bare hands.
In Cuba, the day of the last flight from Matanzas to Caracas, I smuggled onto that plane, pretending I was a stewardess, made my way into the cockpit, single-handedly fought the two pilots with my bare hands in high-heeled shoes, and flew the plane straight to Miami.
In Cuba, right as I started paddling my way out, I saw the most beautiful woman I had ever seen, surrounded by a school of sharks on the water while she was trying to swim to freedom. I got out of my boat of tires, jumped on top of a shark, and while riding it, fought off every single of these beasts with my bare hands. And then, while in the middle of the ocean, with just the two of us, we got married, which I could officiate myself because I was a priest.
Jose takes a sip of his coffee.
In Cuba,
Just then, Miriam, an elderly blonde woman, walks up to the Ventanita and stands between them.
One Cafe Cubano, please.
The waitress brings her a cup. She takes a sip.
In Cuba, I made the best coffee.
Blackout. The end. Huge round of applause for Andy. All right, awesome. So if you're watching, go ahead and take a minute right now and be sure to comment with any questions that you have for Andy about Cuba or any positive feedback. We'll be getting Andy up here in just a minute for our last and final Q&A already. Speaking of final things, we're already to the last sketch of the evening. So for that, we're going to need Marius, Beth, and Sally for our readers. And there they are. Awesome. And last but not least, we're going to be reading a sketch by Logan Brooks entitled Even. All right, and here we go. Even. Place. A chain salon in a mall. At Rise, a grungy mall hair salon with a dated front desk. Behind it are 3 dirty cutting stations. To the right, a well-used waiting room with piles of old magazines. A lone, overly confident cowboy named Nacho is spitting chewing tobacco into a Bud Light can. As he is grooming his giant eyebrows in a nearby mirror, there are tumbleweeds of hair blowing past his gator skin cowboy boots. A new and extremely sweaty hairstylist, Donna, is pacing back and forth nervously at the front desk. A monotone, far past her prime manager is obliviously playing dominoes in the break room.
Welcome to Master Cuts. How can we help you?
I want me a nice and tight fade, and I want the best stylist in the place.
Sure. I can definitely do that for you.
Donna's sweat drips so much it's making a puddle on the floor.
You look like you can do me real right.
Nacho gives her a wink and spits more chew into his can.
Okay, come on back, sir.
Donna is sweating uncontrollably.
I love to come on your...
Before he can finish his sentence, he slips on the sweat puddle.
Whoa!
There is a long and painful pause.
Sir, I'm so incredibly sorry. Let me help you get back up.
Donna struggles to help him. Her sweaty hands keep slipping on his.
Little lady, I'm all right. I'm a rodeo clown. We're a tough breed. Let's get this haircut going. I don't have all damn day.
Nacho sits in her chair.
Okay, sir. How would you like your haircut?
Well, sugar lips, I like me a tight fade. You look mighty tight.
Nacho chuckles.
Okay.
Donna says this awkwardly and speaking a mile a minute.
So do you like the size really short? Do you want about an inch off the top? How do you style it at home? When was your last cut? How do you like your neckline? What's your favorite cut?
Donna tries to steady her nervous, shaky hands while wiping the sweat off her brow.
Didn't you go to school for this? Why so many damn questions? You women always blabbering. Do I look like a haircutter to you?
Okay, I'll get started then.
She begins buzzing the sides of his hair.
So, you got a man at home? I bet he's not as handsome as I am. I mean, look at his face. All the chuckle bunnies chase me at the rodeo. How lucky are you to cut my hair?
He takes his chew from under his cape and adds it to an already large dip in his cheeks, resembling a chipmunk.
Oh, I'm married.
Donna drops her comb.
Well, what does that have to do with anything? I won't tell if you don't.
Donna laughs nervously, hands really starting to shake.
Damn tits! I didn't mean to get you that worked up. You're shaking all over the place. It's just that effect I have on you little ladies.
Nacho gives her a wink.
Haha, I'm fine. Just too much coffee.
Donna drops her comb again.
Whoopsie, let me grab that.
She moves to the front of his hair.
Let's see, about an inch off the front. I'll just take off a little bit.
The clippers fall. She tries to grab them, but they fall flat on his face.
Shit! Shit! Oh, shit!
Wait! What the? Did you shave off my eyebrow?
Nacho squeals in disbelief.
Sir, I have no words.
My eyebrow! My eyebrow! What will the boys at the rodeo say?
Now hyperventilating while running around the salon like a deranged maniac. He falls to the ground choking.
Sir? Sir? I think you're choking, sir. Sir? Okay. OMG. Crap.
Donna shakes her head.
I think I have to perform the Heimlich?
Donna looks around.
Really? On my first day?
She ponders for a second, then quickly watches a YouTube video.
Yuck, his breath. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
A pile of chew flies across the salon, landing on a client who just arrived in the waiting room. Manager walks in oblivious to what just happened.
What do we have going on here?
Donna is out of breath.
Well,
She
Nacho gasps for air.
shaved off my eyebrow, then tried to kill me.
Sir, the eyebrow was an accident. He was choking and I just saved him.
She turns to Nacho.
I saved your life.
The manager's unimpressed.
Okay, let's calm down now. What can I do to make this right?
Can you put my eyebrow back on?
No, sir, unfortunately, I cannot. I can offer you a free service and finish your cut. Maybe interest you in a scalp massage or conditioner treatment. A little gray coverage while you're here.
This has been the worst experience I've had at the salon. Where do you find these girls? Stupidchicks.com.
I understand your feelings. Please come to my chair and I'll fix you up.
Well, damn right you will. I'm going to ruin you on that there Facebook and Twitter.
He sits in her chair. Manager quickly gives him a haircut, hardly looking at what she is doing.
Okay, sir, we are almost done here. Want to take a look?
What did you do? With a ball on my head? It looks like my horse done cut it. What the hell is this place? A butcher shop?
The manager is unbothered.
It's a fade.
Donna, in a very fake, nice voice.
I think it looks great. Again, I'm so sorry. It could be a new rodeo clown trend.
I don't want a word from you.
Okay, let's get you a free gift certificate.
No. I demand you fire her right now. Right now.
Yeah, that's not how we do business. And to play devil's advocate, she said she saved your life.
The manager starts filing her nails.
Don't you know who I am? I'm very well known in the rodeo clown community.
Nacho puffs his chest with pride. The manager rolls her eyes.
I just thought your mom liked nachos. Hey, how about some free product?
Trying to change the topic.
Not unless it's called Fire Her.
Now, handsome, come on over. I would like to discuss this in private.
Donna uses her sweetest, sexiest voice.
You're entitled to your feelings, but please, pretty please, give me another chance. I've thought of a great idea to fix your eyebrows.
You don't deserve my business.
Nacho is pouting, but curious.
It would be my honor to try and make you happy.
Donna smiles.
Come on over, big boy.
Only because he called me handsome.
Nacho sits down in her chair while looking her up and down. Donna gets her clippers out.
Okay, let me just take a little bit off the sides. Yes, here we go.
His other eyebrow falls to the floor. Nacho is silent, in shock.
Now they're even.
Donna smiles. Blackout. The end. Huge round of applause for Logan. Awesome. All right. Like I said, that is our final sketch for the evening. So that means that it's time for our final Q&A. So we're going to bring back up Logan and Andy. And I'll start looking for those comments and questions that you had about Nkuba and Even. All right. Oh, yes, I forgot my semi-in-person round of applause to both of you. Nicely done. Thanks for sharing those.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Andy, we'll go ahead and start with you. For those who are just hearing this for the first time, what was your inspiration for Nkuba?
I'm from Miami. I'm mostly Cuban, and I frequent those little ventanitas a lot when I'm down there. And it's just a very common thing to hear people of a certain generation just say in Cuba, and then follow it up with trying to one-up you or trying to show off.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with this idea in these shops, these little ventanitas.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Okay.
just a bunch of old Cuban guys fighting with each other.
I love it. Again, pulling from real life. Unfortunately, I've never experienced in real life that eloquent and elevated one-upsmanship. Usually it's just people cutting me off or something.
Yeah.
I like it. So Anita Britt has a comment in Spanish, con espuma.
Yes, that is the key to Cuban coffee.
Ah, okay. Any translation?
Espuma is, and that's the secret of Cuban coffee, is the foam layer on top. So
Okay.
essentially what you do is you have some sugar and you mix the first droplets of the coffee as it's pouring out into that sugar, mix it up, and that sugar coffee mix eventually forms the foam, and that's the espuma.
Okay. Is that difficult to get here in the States, like say Kalamazoo? Or
Any espresso. All you
Okay.
need is espresso, an espresso maker, stovetop espresso maker, and sugar.
Nice. All right. Moving on to a comment by Paul LaFerriere. It sounds like he's got a favorite line. I didn't have toys. I had beans that needed crushing.
I really like that imagery when I wrote it.
Right. I know, and there is so much imagery. I think one of my favorites is another one talking about them when they were young, and that scene in the hospital, right during birth, passing the coffee around.
Well, like that's a thing in any workplace, especially in Miami, where it's like 3:00 hits, someone goes for a coffee run and brings enough to share with people. So that was kind of what I was pulling from for that.
Okay. I myself have noticed that I've been drinking more coffee at 3 p.m., much to my chagrin. Josh McDaniel says coffee mustache, a mustache made of smeared coffee beans. I forget the name of the person who he was
Yeah, Jose Marti. He was a Cuban poet and
Okay.
freedom fighter. He has a very interesting mustache, and for some reason, I was trying to think, how could this kid dress up like Jose Marti? And I was thinking, well, the mustache distinguishes him, and we're already talking about coffee, so
Right.
might as
And that's
well.
one of the things that we talked about in the workshop is even if you don't, you're not familiar with all of the references, the way you've written it in context, you still get what's being said and appreciate it just as much. So well done for that again.
Thanks.
Anita Britt says, jumped on top of the shark and got married. Another one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, at that point, I was just going for the absurdism as a fan of the absurd.
Yes. Yeah, and actually Anita Britt, her next comment is, I love the one-upmanship. And I feel like there was a great kind of escalation before we got to almost jumping the shark, or at least getting married while on a shark.
Yeah, that was hard keeping up, where I had to keep it realistic for a few pages. Because if I go up a little bit too far, it gets a little insane too early.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of lose
balance.
yourself nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Got to have that self-control as a writer. Awesome. So let's check in with Logan. Logan, what was the inspiration for yours? And I already know what the inspiration is, so I should say for the benefit of people watching.
I mean, you told me us to write about what we knew, and as a hairstylist, it's definitely bits and pieces of my experience. Amplified, of course.
Right. But even so, I'm so sorry that that is coming from real life. Ugh.
Luckily, not anymore. But when I first started, it definitely was interesting to say the least.
I can only imagine.
It made for good material, though.
Yeah, I know, and that's the ultimate revenge, right?
Right, totally.
I like it. Susan Caswell Brooks has a favorite line. I think, "You can do me all right,"
which is hilarious because that's my mom, and it's surprising that that's the line she likes. But that's good.
Well, that's the great thing. I mean, inspiration knows no boundaries. You can, when you put it all together, nobody knows that it came from different places. And then Anita Britt said, no eyebrow. Obviously a great revenge that we get to see taken on that character. How do you envision, like, if this were to be produced, how do you envision those eyebrows? Like, do you think like kind of like special makeup huge?
Oh yeah, and I can see him like having a special comb that he gets out and like does his thing with.
That would be so funny. I didn't think about the style.
Like does the wax and like makes them pretty.
Love it. And then Susan Caswell Brooks says, "Can you put my eyebrows back on?" Such a piteous response to having.
Well, and the eyebrow thing actually happened to me when I was in beauty school. The girl didn't realize that she still had wax on the strip and went back over my eyebrow, and it pretty much was not all the way off, but pretty darn close.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, good time.
What did she say?
Shit. My initial was like, "What did you do?"
Right.
I felt Nacho's pain there for a minute. I'm not gonna lie.
So what do you do in that situation? Do you try to even it out, or do you just...
No, I just did a very big part over the missing eyebrow.
Gotcha.
I was very mysterious for a while.
One of the benefits of having long hair.
Yes.
Actually, Anita Britt had a possible fix for that. She says a scalp massage will fix everything. Is that true in your experience with that?
I've been told.
You've been told?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see here. And then our own Maria says cats were frequent visitors during the classes, which I think anybody who has a cat knows that writing and cats go hand in hand. So another huge round of applause for both of you. Thank you so much for writing these and sharing them with everyone. We really appreciate it. Unfortunately, that does mean that it is time for us to say goodbye. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for our first online reading. Really quick, for more information on all things Crawlspace Theater, be sure to follow our Facebook page, and be sure to visit crawlspacetheater.com and subscribe to our email list. As always, we promise not to spam you, and we'll only send you cool updates. For example, you probably get an update about Yes, There Really Is an Answer, the online game show that we've been offering for, believe it or not, a little over a month. The next episode of that game show is this Friday at 7:30 p.m. And if you're interested in supporting great stuff like this online reading, which went really, really well, and I couldn't be happier with, consider purchasing a Crawlspace Theater e-gift card. You'll be able to use it for future classes that we offer, as well as live performances once we're able to make you all laugh in person again. Again, a huge thank you to our writers for not only spending so much time and effort on their work, but also sharing their work with everyone here tonight. We really appreciate it. And also, of course, our viewers. Thank you so much for tuning in and participating in that conversation, sharing your feedback. Sketches like this, they need to be shared, and we couldn't share it without you. So we really appreciate it. Have a great night, and thanks again.